Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel, Super Rugby Pacific, round number 9. It's already had some pretty emphatic results, and this one down in Dunedin will be the Fijian Drua taking on the Highlanders, and what is a really important game for both of these two sides. Currently, in the way that the table sits, they are both outside of the top 6, and after that win for the Blues, they are actually both at the bottom of the table. 11 versus 10 here, Highlanders on 12. Fijian Drua on 7. If the Drua do not win this game, more than likely they will have no shot of making it to the playoffs. If the Highlanders were to lose this game, then they would also have a thinner margin. Both sides do need the win. Looking through at the starting lineups for the Highlanders, it is Ethan de Groot, Henry Bell, and Sefu Kautai as the front row. Will Stoddard alongside Fabian Holland in the locking duo, with Ollie Haig, Lasanga at 7, and Hugh Renton slotting in as the number 8 in terms of the backline for Lau Pakatava, back at 9 with Cam Miller as the 10, Tava Nawai into the midfield alongside Thomas, Umanga Jensen, then Jonah Nariki at 11, Philemoni out on the other wing, and Jacob Ratamaitabuki Nepkins does return at number 15. For the Fijian Drua here, Reti Hatit, Mzalami Dolakoto, and Masaki Donge are the front row. Masaki Vothi alongside Asoa Nasila Silla will be the locking duo, with Joe Tamani, Ioani Tiwai, or Soa Tuwai, I should say, and Elia Thanakaivata as the number 8, Simeone Kuravuli alongside Isaiah Armstrong Ravula as the 19 combo, Tabo Aval and Osifo Masi in the middle, Pati Logna Masi out on one wing, Celestino Ravatamanda out on the other, and Caleb Muntz at number 15. So those are the starting lineups. Let's go Blues woman. Says Kiwi Rob, of course, the Super Rugby Aupiki final taking place at the same time. Hope Hamish keeps us posted on the female game, Kiwi Rob. I can guarantee you right now that I think Kiwi Rob will want that role. Is Hamish going to give updates on the women's game, or should I watch it? Says Kiwi Rob, I'd recommend watching it. At the end of the day, it is your Blues women's side. Like, you want to see them do well, and you want to see them make a bit of history. Like you said, chance to go back to back. Yeah, hopefully they do go very well. Good day, Hamish. Says Anthony. Welcome in. And I will mention during that break between live streams, we also scheduled our next 2 matches that we are going to be doing on the channel, including the match between the Bulls and Edinburgh in the Challenge Cup quarterfinals, and the Champions Cup quarters taking place between Bordeaux and Munster as well. That's okay with you, Hamish? Says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, like, go for it. I'm not in control of what you decide to do. If you want to watch a women's final rather than watching Highlanders versus Fijian Drua, which, like, let's be honest, it is the bottom of the table clash. So these two sides, they might put on a very entertaining game of rugby, but it may mean very little for them depending on what happens in the near future. So yeah, I'd recommend watching the final if you get the chance. Waratah's team try yesterday was amazing. Yeah, going the full 100 metres to be able to score that one off a knock-off just out from the goal line from the Chiefs. Good morning, Hamish. Grey and cool. Looks like rain today, says Ruth, and hopefully it is going to be raining tries at Forsyth Barr. That last match between the Blues and Moana Pacifica, it was a decent one, but I feel like there is still, I'll be honest, I feel like it's still wide open for match of the weekend. That Waratahs versus Chiefs game, it did involve a lot of errors and a lot of penalties. Hurricanes versus Crusaders, it wasn't too bad in terms of entertainment value. These two sides, they do know how to light up a stadium, and I feel like this game hopefully will be no different. And I was asking if it was okay with you to keep you updated on the women's game, because some people might be recording it. That is a good point. So maybe only once someone asks, I would say bring it up. But otherwise, maybe it's best to keep it silent, just because, yeah, there are 2 matches taking place simultaneously. So it will be a tricky one to be able to follow both. Like, I'll be keeping an eye on it out of the corner of my eye. But some people may be watching that one maybe after this game. Cape Town Autumn Day. It's going to be, I'm going with the Fijian Drua, says Ruth, and Bulls in Edinburgh will be a great game. Can't wait for that live stream, says Matthew. Mothe Tava Nawai leading the Highlanders out onto the field. The crowd are loud, mainly in the zoo. I saw in the stands in the background, weren't a huge amount of people in the stand on the far side. And Marina Ruth, will have a nice day here. Melbourne 27 and tomorrow 32. What a lovely evening in Auckland, says Kiwi Rob. Do you have a website to look this game, please? Unfortunately, Super Rugby-wise, it's very hard to find free options. But if you have the option of Stan Sport, if you have a VPN to set yourself to Australia, you will be able to get a free trial of Stan, and then from there you should be able to watch the game for free. But then, of course, you will have to cancel your subscription, so it would only be this game that you get to see. Nick Berry, he will be the referee in charge of this game. Brett Cronin as the TMO. Jordan Way and Jeremy Markey are the men on the assistant referee sides. Big game here. Like I said, both of these sides need the win. It is a bottom of the table clash, but whoever wins this will have more momentum going forward. And Miller sending young man who delivered the ball off to the side. Big opportunity for him. That fly half number 10 role has been wide open, or at least in some people's eyes over the last few weeks. Could this be the one where Cam Miller really confirms himself as a contender? Going to be kicked off high now by Miller, though, going right to left here for the Highlanders. And it's going to be knocked on early from the Fijian Drua, which brings a scrum feed only about 11 seconds into the game. Here comes the mighty Blues woman. Says Kiwi Robin, Hamish, you have, or did you have a few hours sleep? You look great, says Ruth. I managed to squeeze a few hours after that Glasgow, or before that Glasgow Leinster match, in fact. So, yeah, we're not doing too bad sleep depravity-wise, but we'll be feeling it later on. Our last live stream will be finishing in about 9 hours' time. So there might be a bit of sleepiness by then. But already we are going to get to see the first scrum of this game. It will be in favour of the Highlanders. Hope the Highlanders win, says Bruce. Yeah, if the Highlanders do win, okay, Broughton has been taken out, and that is going to be for lock later on in the game they have just mentioned. But Fakatava goes off to Cam Miller, shifting to the left-hand side. Here's Jacob Ratamaitabuki Nepkins. Excited to be back for this Highlanders side. Hopefully Highlanders pull this off. Here's NRL fan. Now pick and go for Ollie Haig. I'm disappointed with the crowd for the women, says Kiwi Rob. Although, like, in their defence, that Moana Pacifica versus Blues game, it was a decent-ish crowd, but I don't think they had as many for that game as they would have liked either. Jonah Nareki now runs it himself, offloads, and the try out wide for Tenuela, or Tenuela, I should say, Philemoni. I mean, he's got gifted the try from Jonah Nareki. The man looks very confused, but he scored the try. First match and try on debut. Great start to the match for the Highlanders, just shifting it out wide. Jonah Nareki, I thought he was going to go himself there. He managed to get through the first tackle attempt, but then dragged down nice and low from Caleb Muntz, and then Philemoni finished the job. It's the quickest try ever. It was certainly fast, probably quickest of this round that we have had on Super Rugby Pacific. Yeah, big smile on the face of Philemoni. I don't think many debut tries get much easier than that one. Didn't even get touched. A nice one, Highlanders. Keep it up. Here's NRL fan 25. Now Cam Miller. It's here for him to be able to line up this kick. And Matthew is getting better with rear roast beef and gherkins. Here's Ruth. That one has missed away to the right-hand side. By the way, you know we are getting a crossover game between Aussie Women's Super Rugby champions and Aupiki winners. Yep. They did mention about it on the Waratahs Chiefs halftime break yesterday. They were doing an interview with one of the women's players talking about it. Yeah, good finish from Philemoni. Now makes the score 5 points to 0. A few hectic pace. I feel dizzy, says Ruth. Now let's go Drua. Time to hit back. And that is the thing. The Drua's away record has been a bit lackluster for the past couple of years. The big thing is just going to be to stay in the contest. Find your way over the try line eventually. Because later on in the game, that's when the Drua sometimes just come alive and score multiple tries in quick succession. But they can't afford to be too far down. A little bit similar to the Blues Moana Pacifica game today. That one's gone out on the full from the Highlanders. It was Falau Fakatava who ended up kicking that ball out on the full, which now gives the Fijian Drua chance. My dad is from the Highlanders. As in, like, your dad played for the Highlanders, or he's just from Dunedin, or like the Highlanders region of New Zealand. What a lot of rugby today. Hamish, you're on fire. Here's Ruth. Now, that one's not going to be straight, says Nick Berry. It will be now the scrum feed for the Highlanders. I tipped Fiji once, and they lost, so I tipped the Highlanders. So here's an NRL fan. And the women haven't kicked off yet, says Kiwi Rob. I think it's a 7:15 kickoff, isn't it, for that game, or 7:10? I think it's somewhere in the very near future that they are going to be starting. So it's supposed to be 7:05, but maybe it just took a little bit longer after the Blues versus Moana Pacifica. Now another scrum opportunity, about 25 metres out from their own line here, the Highlanders. I have to deal with that breeze inside of Forsyth Barr, nor does the rain affect anything if it was outside of the stadium from the city. Here's Ange, nice run forward. Filimoni gets it off to Palau Fakatava. He's kicked this one high, and this one is also close to the sideline. Cleaned up by Punepati Loganamasi after a bit of a fumble. And Leinster destroyed Glasgow. Yeah, massive win for Leinster. Across their last two games, they have scored 114 points, and they have gone over 200 minutes without conceding a single point. So, yeah, they've had quite a good run as of late. Geordie Barrett getting man of the match in that contest. Some brilliant offloading from Sneyman as well. Little kick behind from Palau Fakatava, trying to play a bit of the territory game, and that one is curled absolutely perfectly. Only about 6 metres out from the Fijian Drua half. Realistically, Highlanders should win, but my heart is saying Fijian Drua 34 points to 32. And that's insane stats, says Anthony. Yeah, they're certainly looking like favourites the way that they're sitting currently, although some great sides in the Champions Cup playing today. We get to see Northampton versus Castra. Whoever wins that game will face Leinster in the next round. Munster as massive underdogs taking on Bordeaux. We have El Paris and also got Damien Pinot. And then tomorrow it will be Toulouse versus Toulon. Oh, charge down from, I think it would have been Fabian Holland getting his hands on it. Now the Highlanders seeding that line out about 15 metres out from the Drua line. I think Leinster will win the Champions Cup. Toulouse won't do it without Dupont, says Demon. Oh, Ollie playing the man in the air, so easy penalty for the referee to be able to award. Haig looks confused, but was clear as day. Leinster are overdue to do it, says Demon. Well, that's the thing. Normally Leinster have the problem of La Rochelle. And I think it's about the last 3 or so competitions that La Rochelle have knocked Leinster out of. But now there's no La Rochelle because they got knocked out by Munster. So even though there's that rivalry between Leinster and Munster, Munster may have actually helped out Leinster a little bit there by taking out one of the favourites of the comp. And yes, La Rochelle may not quite be where they were a couple years ago, but they're still a very strong side, and not many French sides lose at home. You guys must be happy that Barrett is going back to New Zealand, says Anthony. I have to say, I've really enjoyed seeing him play in the URC, though, and not just because he's having a good season, but like as a New Zealander, you don't normally hear too much about the URC unless you look for it. Like for myself, because we cover the games on the channel, we get to hear quite a bit, but for those who are just from New Zealand listening to it, it's quite cool hearing him talk about, the Champions Cup focus and then going back to the URC, which is something that, we don't really get here in New Zealand. It's just Super Rugby the whole way through, but that adaptation of 2 different competitions is always pretty awesome. That one's not going to be a pretty awesome kick. That's gone out on the full again. This time from Jacob Rata Maitavuki Netkins. We're enjoying having him, says Joseph. And yeah, maybe it opens up the window for some more sabbaticals to take place in the URC for New Zealand players. A line out for Mizulami Dolokoto. Highlanders stop the losing, says Ange. Now that's going to be in the hands of Mizulami Dolokoto, trying to build up some steam. Fabian Holland makes the tackle on him already 8 minutes into this contest. Still the leader 5-0 for the Highlanders. Coming in from Lasanga. Across to the right-hand side. Rob to lose at full strength or would beat the All Blacks, says Demon. Agarete Hitit. For just a little bit more. Switch of direction here from Kuravoli. Kicking behind from Armstrong Ravula, but Miller is back to cover. Now has Jacob Rata Maitavuki Nepkins with a good exit. That just seemed to be a play from the Fijian draw of we're not sure what to do with this, so we're going to give it back to the Highlanders. And in the process, they lost about 30 metres worth there for the draw. So maybe just getting that pass through their hands would be the better option. Trying to play the territory game at the moment, but the Highlanders have got some pretty good exits from inside of their 22 throughout this season. Going to be thrown up, nicely taken by the drawer again. Kuravuli goes back across to the left-hand side. Quick hands from the drawer. Across now to what would have been Asoa Tuai. Kuravuli looking to the left. Looping around was one of the big forwards. I believe it was here, Riti Hitit again. Off to the left, there was a forward pass from the Fijian Drua right in front of the referee. They will now go back for the scrum in favour of the Highlanders again. Tamani just going a little bit too early. Throwing that ball across. In fact, he was the man receiving it from Tamani, from Tuai, your dream Damon. Says Gibby Rob, handling errors so far. We've seen 2 from the Fijian Drua, but this first 10 minutes has gone extremely quickly in this matchup. The side's just taking a few deep breaths. We'll mention for anyone who is unsure what games we have got later on, we aren't doing the Reds Brumbies just because of the overlap that will be involved with the Challenge Cup quarterfinal between the Bulls and Edinburgh. But one bonus is going to be that we are going to be giving you a bit of an update for the final moments of that Red Brumbies game while introducing the next contest. Here comes Jacob Ratamatabuki. Nepkins goes on the outside to Philemoni, who got wrestled into touch there. Great defence from the Fijian Drua. And keep lads, hi everyone. Cheers, Spider-Man, welcome in. And then after that one, we have got Bordeaux versus Munster. That will be a 2 a.m. kickoff, so in around 7 hours' time, which feels like a long time away, but I'm sure it will absolutely fly by. Nicely taken by the drawer again, just on their 22. Armstrong Ravola goes straight down the middle of the field with the kick. Philemoni takes it, goes off to Jacob Ratamatabuki. Nepkins would have had the option of a 50-22, but instead decides to run it straight at Tabua Val. Got close to the steal. Dupont is the reason the French play so well. He is their talisman. And just kidding, Demon. But despite that, it would be a great game to see Toulouse at full strength play the All Blacks. The Toulouse Stadium would go crazy over that game, says Demon. Who knows? Maybe if the money is right, it's a match that we could see some stage in the future. I don't think it would be one high on New Zealand's list, but because, of course, during the international window, a lot of Toulouse's players will be playing for France, so they'd lose those guys. Cam Miller kicks it down the middle of the field again. It's going to go into the in-goal area. Continues to roll. Armstrong Ravola gives it off to Caleb Muntz. Pressure on him. That is great work there from Cam Miller. Chasing his own kick. Made about 50 metres in the process of just chasing after it and almost knocking him in. Kicking the ball inside of his own 22. In fact, it didn't go outside of the 22. Line out throw now 20 metres from the line for the Highlanders. Nicely taken by Fabian Holland. Lasanga leaves it for Fakatava, who sells a couple dummies off to Jona Nariki. That would have been a fantastic try had that come off in one play. Now, the thing is, they will probably still score here, the Highlanders. He's put it on the post for Thomas Umaga Jensen. Now, Fakatava goes across to Miller. They've got numbers. Philemoni will get his second on debut. He'll be thinking Super Rugby's extremely easy. He's had 2 run-in tries. He hasn't been touched in the process of scoring both of them. He's on the right side, right time. And he's on the road to a hat-trick. I need some hot chocolate with chocolate biscuits, says Ruth. Fakatava, that was a brilliant run off the back of that rolling maul. Jona Nariki almost able to get over and then just firing it out wide. All they had to do was keep it going through their hands, and Philemoni will be more than happy. Now this one is going. Score that try as well. Big smile on his face. Now another chance. The Highlanders dared the extra 2. Now Cam Miller did miss his first attempt at the post. This one much easier, but still not exactly. Well, it's 95% a give me. It's 22 metres out, only a slight angle. The stadium has no wind, so yeah, it should go over from Cam Miller, and he has got it. Go through the post, so that will make the score now 12 points to 0. Right, here's a Super Rugby trivia question, ladies and gentlemen, which I do not know the answer of, which it's not really trivia then, it's just a question. But quickest hat-trick on debut in Super Rugby history, does anyone know? Because Philemoni's taken 14 minutes to score 2. They'll be on the road to the hat trick here. Please give us your try total and prediction today. Who's the winner? I do think that the Highlanders will take it. It's easy to say now, of course, since they're 12-0 up, but they do look extremely strong. Did he play for the New Zealand under-20s? As this new guy scored 2 tries. I'm not actually sure who his background team is. I'll quickly have a look. Tiniela Filimoni, he's 25 years old, Tongan rugby player. So, I mean, if he's going to start like this, he also did play for Nola Gold in the MLR. They've got there. We're going to quickly type in while we've got a stoppage. Quickest Super Rugby debut hat trick. Who was the quickest? There have been 22 tries scored within the opening 60 seconds of Super Rugby games. That was back in 2020. I would assume that there's been a few more since there. Okay, I don't think we've got the information. Cole Preston would have been relatively close with his debut hat trick, I would think, to a record. Now it's going to be kicked in behind by Jakarata Matavuki Nepkins, putting it through for Jona Nariki to run on to. He ends up tackling the wrong man. Getting onto the ball was Lasanga, but just ends up coming off it. 15.5 minutes remaining, going off to the left-hand side. It's taking the hit now for Iliathana Kaivata. Like a little bit more wrestling going on the ground between two Highlanders and Fijian Drua players. Nice take from Filimoni under the high ball. He's looking like a real deal throughout the early stages of this one. Timothy Tavanawai running it sideways. He's got Haig with him. Decides against using him, but he has got him in support. Still going for Tavanawai. Now off to the left-hand side, past him behind. Loose ball picked up by Hugh Renton. Pops out to, Filau Fakatava. That's an ugly one. He tried to kick the ball and got driven down backwards. Cheesecake is bad. Cake is cake. Cheese is cheese. Never the two should meet. Never. You feel very passionately about it, Duncan. So I will ask the question, of the cheesecakes that you've had, even though you don't like them, what was your slightly favourite flavour? I guess favourite flavour of cake would be the better question, wouldn't it? Cheesecake's not too bad, I'll be honest. Like, I used to not like it because I felt like it had too much of not so much a weird taste, but I wasn't sure what it was that I could taste a cheesecake. But now I know that it's cream cheese. It's slightly, like, I can handle it in terms of mentally. But now, going to be a line out here for the Highlanders, about 47 metres out from their own line. Only 18 minutes already have passed in this matchup. Nicely taken by Fabian Holland. They've got themselves the penalty advantage at rolling maul time 2. Come on, Drua, wake up. There's Spider Mick. Still marching. Henry Bell hanging on to it at the back now. Has left it for Falau Fakatava. Chips it in behind. He's in a foot race. And he took it too casually. He was winning the race. Then he slowed down to try and control the ball. And Isaiah Armstrong-Ravula just kept on running. Okay, Falau Fakatava's trying to say that it was slap dead. I never eat cheesecake nor carrot cake. Yuck. See, carrot cake I've never had, but I don't think I'd like it. So I might agree with you in that regard. Wait, so have you tried cheesecake though, Duncan? You say you never eat it, but have you actually, tried it? I forget cheesecake kinners all the way, says Tanai. Love me a good cheesecake, but not good for the old waistline, says Nov Mum. Andrew, move it, boys, close the gaps, says Ruth. Now that one's going to be kicked downfield. Obviously taken around the halfway line from Hugh Renton, hanging on to the ball in one hand now, builds some steam up, runs straight. And I saw a Nasilla carrot cake with cream cheese icing, big mistake many years ago. So, you just didn't like the taste, or it just didn't like you, or what was the go? Now, advantage. Highlanders leaving their feet in the breakdown. Yeah, I will give you credit. I don't think I've ever seen someone so passionate about hating cheesecake. So, I guess, good job. Now the Fijian Drua be kicking this one towards the touchline. Both. Says Duncan. So yeah, you probably have a pretty bad memory of it, I would say, if it wasn't the biggest fan of yourself either. If we still love our cheesecake, says Ruth. 40 metres out from the line, cheesecake, yes, but a milk tart. Now that's the good stuff, says Johan. Is that like something that's quite popular in South African, Johan? Some stage, I'm going to have to make that trip over, and I'm going to have a braai. I'm going to have to try a whole heap of stuff that is from South Africa. Go to a rugby game as well. Oh, that's a nice ball. Philemoni just goes forward, though, in the process of the pass. Got a big shot put in him from Ponepati Loganamasi. Carrot cake's one of my favourites. There's Robert. Philemoni gets the high five from Timothy Tava Nawai. Lemon cake is the best. Says Demon. Milk tart South African classic yum, says Duncan. I'm going to have to look it up, I would say, while we've got another stoppage. Milk tart South Africa. So what's the difference between a milk tart and a cheesecake? It looks like maybe it's just milk rather than cheese, is it? Because it kind of looks like a cheesecake. It looks like a baked cheesecake, but I assume it doesn't have cream cheese. It's just got milk instead. It looks good, though. Oh, yes, not supermarket milk tart. So is it better to make from scratch rather than from the supermarket? And off to the right-hand side. Oh, a little bit of a handling error there from Simeone Kuravoli. And there will be the penalty going the way of the Highlanders now, about 25 metres out from the Drua's line. I recently learned about supermarket chains in South Africa. I know that there is one called, is it Spar? Then there's also, I think it's Pick and Pay. And then there's another big one that I can't quite remember. It is sweet with cinnamon on top. Says Duncan, hello, Hamish. Says Nasal, welcome in, mate. You're doing very well. And Miller now kicking this one into touch. That'll be about maybe 9 metres out from the try line. But the rolling maul of the Highlanders has already won a penalty advantage. Their strike rate is only 11th out of everyone with 11%. Checkers, says Johan. So it's Checkers, Spar, and Pick and Pay. Are they your three main ones, or is there another one outside of those three? Now, off to the right-hand side, yeah, the Fijian Drua, great attack and run forward from Tuai, gets it off to Ilya Thunakaivara, missed tackle from Ethan de Groot. We're up to 45 metres out now, Spar is Brazilian in origin, says Duncan. Well, there you go. Learn something new every day. Ball on the inside was almost there for months, but John Ariki trying to cause problems in the breakdown. Oh, rush defence from Falau Fakatava. Oh, it's a drop ball there. I don't know who that was. It was actually the number one. Hireti Hitit went for a kick there, which was a bit of a mistake. He is a prop, by the way. Safari Meats in Christchurch is South African shops, says Tinai. Are they the ones? No, they might not be the ones who do the biltong. I know that there's one in New Zealand that does biltong similar to South Africa, or at least they're advertised as a kind of South African origin type thing. Our most exciting rivalry ever. For the reason it's so 50-50. Always back to back box though, says Johan. And smear with cream, a morning coffee walnut cake. Sounds all right. Looks like we've got a bit of a stoppage here, 23 minutes in both sides. Just having a little bit of a drink here while they deal with Ethan de Groot's injury. Right, Nick Berry says water off. We're heading back into it. I guess they sell it, says Tanai. And strawberry on its own with double thick cream. Duncan there too. Now just showing the next game will be Reds versus Brumbies. Now we aren't actually covering that game on the channel. Reason being we are going to be doing the Bulls versus Edinburgh match of the Challenge Cup. Now that one will be taking place at 11:30, but we will be starting at around 11:15, I believe it is. And that is going to be, hopefully, a very entertaining game. Just talking about a few running repairs here for the Highlanders. Johan Fori, I think it's going to be a good game this year, especially how New Zealand are putting their unbeaten record against the best South African team ever, says Demon. Strawberries with icing, sugar, says Matthew. Yeah, combination that doesn't go wrong too often. Free kick going the way of the Drua. What's going to be a scrum feed for the Highlanders. Has backfired, and now the Drua. Looks like they're just going to go for the quick tap and go here. They will be 40 metres out from their own line. Looking for the 50-22 from Zai Armstrong Ravula, but they were back to be able to cover it. Jakarata Maitavuki Nepkins keeps that ball in the field of play. And Coconut and Cherry Cake, Decadentson, or Descendantson. Or might have been Decadent, actually. Should have stuck with it the first time. Should have known South Africa will win the rugby championship, though, says Demon. Nice attack and run from a Sefo Masi. Manages to get the offload away to Caleb Muntz. Puripati Loganamasi. 40 metres out from their own line here, the Drua. They just need some time attacking inside of the Highlanders' half. And 12-0 down. They aren't completely out of this contest, but being the next side to score could be crucial, and that is a nice play again. Some pace being shown, and then just a drop ball. Celestino Ravotamande, he was searching for this one. Muntz is scrambling in all sorts of directions, and Jona Nareki over the ball gets another penalty for the Highlanders. And I from Timaru says, Sean, welcome in. And draw a pop it, come on, boys. Says Ruth. And there as well. And Demon Nana makes me excited for the game now. I always say, may the best team win. For sure won't be easy for either of the teams, says Johan. Waimea had a good one over Temuka today. See, I haven't even seen the results. I know that last week, I can't even remember if they won or lost. Are you going to cover Blackburn's World Cup in England? Says Tanai. I'm hoping to. Time zone wise, and depending on what the overlaps are, will depend a little bit on what games we can cover and what games we can't. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to cover some of it. Pick and Pay not bad for a milk tart, says Ruth. Oh, stolen at line out time from the Fijian Drua. Isaiah Armstrong, Ruavula kicking that one downfield, nice and low. Sets up now for Jonanareki. Kicking him behind. Oh, it sits up for him. Still running forward. Thought about the offload of Fakatava. This is a chance for Philomonia, although Tabua Val got over the ball. They're going to go cross kick. And just a bit too much on it. Going out wide. And Tava now, I said, why didn't we just pass that out the back line? Nice biscuit base and cream filling, says Ruth. Jona Nareki managed to get that chip in mind. He's looking phenomenal. And I mentioned about it earlier on. Caleb Clark this year for the Blues, he has scored 0 tries. You've got Nareki, you've got Tangitau. You've got all these classy wingers at the moment scoring tries for fun. Who does Robertson go with? Thank you, Ruth. I'll check it out today, says Johan. Oh, depending on what time you do it today, Johan, we are going to be live until about 6 p.m. South African time. So if you do get a chance before then, of course, do let us know how it is. Hello, everyone. Says Sebastian in there too. Now, Falau Fakatava. Sounds like Caleb Muntz has stayed down with a bit of an injury here for the drawer at the back. Tava Nawai gets his offload away to Sifu Kautai, making far too many meters for a prop. Almost onto the ball was Misaki Vothi, but wasn't able to get the steal. Hugh Renton now moves them within 15. Across to the right-hand side for Henry Bell. Always pleasures, and it isn't too expensive. So what would let's say you're doing like a normal grocery shop in South Africa. How many rand would it cost you, out of curiosity? But I guess that's very hard to say because what's a normal grocery shop? If you wanted to buy a singular apple, how much would it cost you in South Africa? Random questions for the day, but nice attacking play at the moment from the Highlanders. Oh, Celestino Ravatamunda almost went in. Scott Robertson needs to go with Caleb, Talia, and Jordan at fullback. Says Demon. Now Fakatava goes back across to Ollie Haig. Back to the right again. Tava Nawai. Now to the right again. Oh, it's going to be a little knock on the ground. Beers, crisp and chocolate. What else do you need? Says Sebastian. New Zealand lolly cake is still the best. Says Matthew. And peppermint crisp tart even better. There you go. We're getting all the inside knowledge at the moment. We are only sitting here. That doesn't look good for Caleb Muntz. He's got the arm pretty much like that from his shirt. It's like maybe the shoulder injury after missing the tackle on Jonah Nareki. Rabitu, he will make his way on. Muntz looks frustrated though. A half smile as if to say, yeah, I know I shouldn't have done that or gone slightly wrong. Now, only 11 and a half minutes remaining in this first half. It has gone very quick for this first almost 30 minutes worth of play. In fact, when you consider this game kicked off at 7:05, it's actually been a pretty smooth running one. 42 Australian dollars, 5 rand. It's not too bad. What about like a normal loaf of bread? I feel like that would be a better comparison, wouldn't it? Going to be kicked high, Tava Nawai. He's going to have to make some ground here if they do manage to break through, which he does. Now manages to make the tackle on the halfway line. Off to the left. This does not look good for Jonah Nariki. A little bit slow getting back up to his feet. Vendors along the street cheaper. There's Johan. Now cross kick. That's here, nicely done by Ponepati Loganamasi. It was a forward pass, but it is going to be play on anyway for the Highlanders with Cam Miller. Back with the ball in hand. Back across to Hugh Renton. Got to use it again for Lau Fakatava, rolling this one back. We'll boot this ball up high. Philemoni chasing after it. All good, low pressure in the tackle, as well as a knock on coming from the draw, so they have got the option of either the line out or the scrum. And we got the Hamish and the New Zealand in there from Ruth. It looks like they are going to go for the scrum option. 4 pass by Ruth Riff. And what a long first half must be me, says NRL. I mean, I've felt like it's been flying by, if I'm being honest, but it may be, I don't think it's dragged that I can think of. Like, we haven't had a huge amount of stoppages. Maybe the scrums every once in a while have slowed it down a little bit, and it's because we've only got the 2 tries, but there's potential there. And we have got there Ndrawers, says Sebastian. And fantastic, says Ruth a little bit earlier on. Looks like scrum is about to take place. Okay, number 4. Will Stoddard. That was a good question from Nick Berry. They said that they're going to check him for an HIA, but beforehand he said, number 4, is that you, mate? So if Stoddard had said, I don't know, then that would have been a good indication that he might be concussed. What a game, says Kiwi Rob. You talking about this one, Kiwi Rob, or the one between Matatu and the Blues? A $1.68, Australian dollar, 20 rand. We have a big variety of bread. I need a bread Noah, or now a bread Noah. It all depends. That's the average. Really, it's pretty good, but it's probably all relevant to prices, isn't it? In a way. I feel like anyone who's tuning in now must be wondering why I'm asking about bread prices. It's probably a good question. And also pickled onion crisps are ping, says Sebastian. Lying in bed watching Hamish. I hope the bed leg's not broken. Says Fleshin. No, big scrum, both sides going down, but it is going to be play on. Hugh Renton breaks off the back. Tackled by Lasanga. I know it all good, says Robert. 2 carrier bags should be about 450 rands. Apples 6 rands each at my local Spa. 6 rands. So that's only that's about 60 cents, isn't it? Or in fact, is that less than 60 cents? Is that 6 cents? No. 6 rand. What's that? I think that's 60 cents-ish. Maybe a little bit cheaper. Now, good tackle. Going to the left-hand side again here. Short ball. Here comes the big run from Masaki Vothi. In fact, no, it was actually Masaki Dongai. The thing is, Tava Nawai. Very close to getting that turnover. The Fijian Drua, anytime they've got a line break in the last little while, it's actually been a forward. The guys in the loose forward trio or the props have been the ones making their way through. Now, Sefu Masi, skip past Celestino Ravotamunda's first carry. Great low tackle made from Philemoni, and the counter ruck comes from the Highlanders. The clock is stuck on 24 minutes. One moment, we'll give it a bit of a shake. Give it a wiggle. There we go. It's up to 33 now. Cam Miller, he will kick this one into touch, but not an easy man to take down as Celestino Rawatamanda and Daniela Filmoni did it quite easily. Now, in the middle of the field, chance to be able to attack this one for Ponepate Loganamasi, tackled by Cam Miller. To the left. Oh, a little stutter step there from Ilya Whanakaivata, building up some speed. Ran between 15 and 20 rand a loaf. And also, bread in South Africa is $5.50, or the cheapest bread is $2.50. Really buy bread. I normally make Ruana bread. And managing the names well, says Chris and Jenny. And it's going to be another knock on this time against the Fijian Drua, which means the Highlanders have got themselves a scrum. All the players, definitely those forwards now who have to join up with the scrum, all look exhausted just at this point in time. They know that this has been a tempo that will be hard to keep. But not a very easy one in terms of the tempo for these two sides. Thick toast costs $1.50, says Spider Mick. Glenn Jackson, and some angry faces in the coaching box there. Man next to him looks about as cool and composed as you can ever be. Glenn Jackson swearing at the players. Now 30 metres out from the line. Well, Fakatava about to feed this ball in. Him as well as Jonanariki have both had a very fast-paced start to this matchup. Going back across to the right-hand side. Cam Miller. Sit down the middle of the field. Well taken at the back by the Fijian Drua. You know what the Royals' fame are? I don't know. I know where this is going, Sebastian. But do let us know. What's the royal family's favourite type of bread? Oh, bounce of the ball. Slapped back by Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. Now going for another little chip. Looks like he's found a bit of space. Umanga Jensen, well taken by Rabitu. Corey Brown is my uncle, says Jetty Boy there. We make Miley bread. I know I won't, say Sebastian. I think I know where it was heading though. If I'm not wrong. But now 5 minutes left in the first half, and it's going to be the goal line dropout. Fijian Drua, they are still sitting on 0. Oh, this match, Renton again will wind up, and he is hit hard. And there's going to be the penalty for the Fijian Drua in off his feet. What's the number 19? Renton a little bit slow getting back up. You're not wrong, says Sebastian. Joining ruck incorrectly, penalty going against the Highlanders, so that will relieve some of the pressure that has been created, I should say. Almost got the word out. The Drua can score before the halftime break. They are well and truly still in this match, but they do need one. Sourdough, we'll go with that as the answer. That's a much more timid one. They like sourdough. Yeah, just joining incorrectly for the Highlanders. Now line out throw for the Fijian Drua, Mesolami Dolokoto. It's been a bit of a mixed bag for the line out so far. Nicely taken at the front for Masaki Vote. Now trying to roll forward again. The ball is available 40 metres out from the line. Come on, Drua, time for action. It's getting late, boys. Here's Ruth. Yeah, they are still chasing that one first big try. 4 minutes on the clock. Ilya Whanakaivate will be waiting for this ball, almost having a bit of a juggle of it, was Tamani. Like I said, that loose forward trio, they are the more likely to get the line breaks at the moment than, in fact, the back line. I feel like that is a credit to the Highlanders' defence in some regards, but then at the same time, they are leaving those gaps for the bigger players. Now going off to the right-hand side. Mioni Kuravoli, another advantage, this time going against Fabian Holland for not rolling away quick enough. The Drua opt for 3. They're about 43 metres out from the line. And it does look like they are opting to take on the chance at the posts. And Brett said Sebastian there as well. Now Fabian Holland. Yes, possible. That's the thing. There are a few guys at the moment who were in the All Blacks last year that you could argue might miss out this year. Showing the zoo still looks relatively full in that regard. Definitely not the whole stand. Normally, those New Zealand derbies, you see a couple more in the stands. 8 o'clock seems to be in sleep mode. Battery low, says NZ right. I think it just likes to chill until there's points scored. And then every once in a while, it just updates itself. But Armstrong Ravula strikes it and gets it over. So they'll make the score now 12 points to 3 in favour of the Highlanders. And ham and cheese toasted sandwich for a snack, says Matthew. Ball possession, please, draw, says Ruth. And that'll make them happy. Just to have some form of points on the board now. Like they've said, just a couple minutes before half time. Good time to be able to score it. 2 minutes left. Fijian Drua. If they can score now, even if it is just another 3-pointer, then back within 7 heading into the second half, anyone's game for the taking, but well claimed by Joe Tamani. Timothy Tava Nawai straight away gets the penalty for the Highlanders, and now they have a decision. Do they want to take that 3 points straight back, or do they want to go for the corner? I think the corner will be what they want. Smoked ham and Parmesan cheese, says Ruth. Yeah, Timothy Tava Nawai straight away points towards the corner. He says, we're not taking a 3, we want another try. Already got themselves 2 in this match, so 1 more would lead to a bonus point situation just for now. Now, that one has been kicked in a touch by Cam Miller. Now, only another minute left, so still time for that rolling maul to be able to take place. Big smile from Timothy Tava Nawai when he saw himself on the big screen. A chance for Henry Bell. Are you going to cover any Heartland games, says Colossus? I haven't really thought about the Heartland side of things, to be honest. Like, it does depend a little bit in terms of who's actually being shown on Sky. It makes it a little bit difficult to be able to know. Last year I was thinking about going to a couple games, maybe doing some sort of like a vlog of being there, but ended up finding that the rugby schedule for international rugby overlapped a little bit, almost a turnover there. Only just out from the line. Now Pakatava looking both ways, goes off to the right-hand side. Thomas Umanga Jensen gets close. He thinks he scored it. Yes, he has. Touch judge says yes. And Umanga Jensen pops up with the try. That is not what the Fijian Drua wanted just at the end of the half. Telling the crowd to make a little bit more noise. He hasn't realised that it's about maybe 15 to 20% attendance today. So that is why they're not as loud as normal. Here's a good sandwich for your buttered jelly. Says Robert V. I think the Highlanders will certainly be playing for the bonus point win. Yeah, currently in the situation of a bonus. Maybe just got that one down as he almost was getting back up. Umanga Jensen was initially on the leg, but then ended up breaking through. Now the lead is sitting 19 points to 3, or at least if this kick goes over, it will be. Currently 17-3. It will be halftime as soon as this kick either misses or goes over. And Nick Berry just said 100% yes it is, so I think Hugh Renton was just asking about something. Maybe in terms of the breakdown. Cam Miller missed the last kick that is as wide as this one. This time has missed it again, so they'll keep the score at 17 points to 3. Halftime in this contest, it is going to be 17 points to 3 now with 40 minutes to play. I feel like the Highlanders, they'll be relatively happy with that first half. I don't think there was too much more that they could have done. They had some really good attack in place. The Fijian Drua, their defence at times was strong, maybe not quite getting as many turnovers in the breakdown as they would have liked. That's probably one critique that they would give themselves. And also a little bit to do with that discipline at times, allowing the Highlanders to march their way up the field. Yeah, second half just around the corner. There is also the final of the women's game of Super Rugby Aupiki taking place. They're 30 minutes into that contest. I won't give any spoilers of what's happening there just in case anyone is going to be watching it a bit later on. Also a game taking place, I think it's the Rabbitohs versus Cowboys, isn't it? Yes, it is. So plenty of action happening in the world of sport. Tomorrow, UFC taking place. Going to be Diego Lopez up against, who is he facing in that main one? Is it Alexander Volkanovski? Yeah, it is. Up against Diego Lopez. Chandler versus Pimlet. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Bryce Mitchell on that main card. Dominic Reyes as well. Going to be a good one starting from 2 p.m. tomorrow. What's the score, Emmy? At the moment, the score is 17 points to 3. So not that close, but it could have been worse for the Fijian Drua. The good news is they were at least able to find some form of points throughout that first half, so that will give them some confidence moving forward. But they are going to need a lot more points in this second half, definitely because I feel the Highlanders still have a few more tries in them. So, yeah, well, it's certainly something to keep an eye on for that second 40 minutes. Looking at the way that it sits at the moment for the Highlanders, Jack Taylor, Daniel Leonard-Brown and Seula Ma'u will be the men making their way off the bench. Crib and Broughton was going to be there at number 20, but they did have the late change. He is no longer in their jersey. Lennox, Sam Gilbert and Tenuelu Talia, the other man off of the bench. In terms of the Fijian Drua bench, it is Zarel Tongiotama, Penny Ravai and Samu Tawaki. It is Rotui Solia and Valive Mira, Basilala Rabitu, who's already made his way on. That was due to the injury of Caleb Muntz. And then alongside that, they have got Samu Vodre. That's the number 23. But looking at future matches for the Highlanders next week, they're going to be up against the Chiefs. It's taking place on Saturday night, New Zealand time at 7:05. And then the week after that, it will be the Highlanders versus Crusaders down in Dunedin. That is one that a lot of people will be keeping their eyes on. It should be a very awesome matchup. Then, in terms of the Fijian Drua, they have got the Waratahs next week, and then Moana Pacifica a week after that. So that is a very important game, definitely because at that point in time, I believe both of those sides will be outside of the top 6. Apparently, for anyone wondering about the overall standings of the Super Rugby table, this is what it looked like at the start of the round. And I will just read off what it is now. So you'll hear quite a few little switches that we've seen just from the matches recently. So the Crusaders are now number 1 with 28 points. The Chiefs, they are on 27. In second, Reds are third with 23. They still have their game later on up against the Brumbies. Waratahs have moved up to 4th on 21. The Force are still on 20. They had the bye, seeing as they have played the most games out of anyone, or at least they had. Brumbies were in 6th on 19. So they actually have managed to move themselves up to 5th now. Oh, no, sorry. They were in 5th. Now they're 6th because they've dropped and someone else has gone up. The Hurricanes are in 7th currently. The Blues in 8th. Moana Pacifica 9th. Highlanders 10th. And the Fijian Drua in 11th. So there's a few changes that have happened. We have got Vane in the chat. It's said hello. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. And I might try and get the UFC or give the UFC a watch. I'm going out later for a beer with some mates. Says Leshan. Yeah, it does look like a good card. So hopefully it does end up delivering and isn't going to be one of those lackluster ones. Just because sometimes the best cards can be, sadly, the most disappointing. One moment, I'm about to sneeze, so I will quickly mute. We are good. Now, only the top 6 advancing to the playoffs. It used to be top 8. That is correct. But because there are 11 teams, they've now made it the 6. And we explained it yesterday. It's a little bit of a confusing one in terms of the system that they use to get sides through. But pretty much it is 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4. The 3 winners go through to the semi-finals. And then alongside that, the next best ranked side go through too. So let's say, for instance, 1, 2, 3 all win their games. 4 then go through to the semi-finals because they're the next best ranked team. So it does mean, yes, of course, your semi-final is so crucial or your playoff game is so crucial, but at the same time, if you're high enough ranked, there's a chance that you still get that next opportunity to still go through to the semis. Halftime in the final of the women's, Says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, by the looks of it, it's a good game so far. Let's go the Chiefs. Says Vani there. Hamish, wouldn't it be crazy if we only got 2 New Zealand teams in the playoffs? Says Demon. It would be, but at the same time, with the New Zealand teams playing the New Zealand teams a lot of the time for their derby matches, and the Australian teams playing the Australian teams in their matches, it's likely that New Zealand might only have probably 2 or 3 if they're lucky. And it is kind of set up so that the Australian sides are through as well, but then that's to just make it more so the Trans-Tasman side of things. And no spoilers. There's Kiwi Rob. Now, at the moment, I would say Crusaders and Chiefs have both, for me, confirmed their spots. And yes, a lot could go wrong, but yeah, they should still be able to make their way through. The Reds, if they win their game up against the Brumbies, I would say they've confirmed their spot in the top 6. I don't dislike the system, to be honest. Yeah, it's one of those ones that when you explain it bit by bit, it makes sense. But it's just trying to fit it all into one sentence is very hard to describe. You know, it's one of those ones that, like, if you end up having, let's say, 5 seconds to try and explain what happens, you just say pretty much 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4, highest place loser goes through, which sounds a bit confusing, but hopefully that kind of summarizes the gist of it. And Drua will be lucky to play in Latoka, says Vani, and there as well. Yeah, one moment, we go like that. And we have got the, yes, says NZ Riot. Just boy Kiwi Riot, you're not on the high levels. Thank you for losing 8, says Spider Mick. I assume from that, I assume there was a timeout involved by the Tartars and whatnot. You could have just read the final series format underneath the table, says Sebastian in there as well. Does it actually say it? Well, not for my, unless it's somewhere else, maybe. And Chad and Hamish, what's your favourite type of curry? I do enjoy a buttered chicken. Some would say it's a bit basic, but I am literally the epitome of basic. So I'm a butter chicken kind of guy. Bit of a cheese naan too goes all right, do I have to say. George has recently found chocolate naan. And now he likes to, or he wants to anyway, go to get Indian just to get a chocolate naan. Not even get curry or rice or anything else that they've got, just for the naan. So he's a committed man when it comes to some of his chocolate dishes. He loves a chocolate mousse as well. Off try scorer, Taniola Philemoni is $10 to be able to score that one. Nariki $9, Urenton 19. So they've got a few guys there on the Highlanders, but of course the Fijian Drua also have a good shot of being able to win this match if they can get the next try. 2 converted ones would put them right in there like oxtail soup, says Spider Mick. Just actually promoting UFC 314. It's $45 on Sky, which is quite steep compared to what you can get it on UFC Fight Pass. Also, Chalky Milk, Nectar of the Gods. Yeah, he does love a Chalky Milk. And Lamb Thea. And come to Fiji, the curry hits different in a good way, says Wilbur. See, the thing is, I'm not very good with spice, though. Like, I'm a sweet chili sauce. Sometimes I consider it spicy. Which the more I say it out loud, the worse it sounds. But, like, is it spicy in Fiji? Or is it, you know, like the taste is what powers it through rather than the kick that it offers? Looking through at the benches for these two sides once again, ladies and gentlemen. Some Vordre off the bench for the Fijian Drua Rugby is already out there. But Sam Gilbert and Taniwelu Talia, looking through at those guys that they've got available in the back line, I think. You know, for the Highlanders, no one in this backline has really been lackluster. You could argue, if you really wanted to be cruel, you could say maybe Ratamaitavuki Netkins. But of course, there's always going to be that little bit of rust with how long he's been away. Other than that, though, you know, he still had some good kicks. I think he's kicked it out on the full once, which was a bit unfortunate. Dropped the ball once, but other than that, he's been good. He's been in the attacking scenarios. And so this Fijian Drua backline, though, Asifo Masi is once again just in a tough predicament. Chocolate milk is pretty good fuel for athletes. Says NZ, right? I want my food spicier than spicy. I often find myself howling like a wolf on the toilet in the middle of the night. Says Sebastian. And that's a good thing, is it, Sebastian? That's like you sit there and you howl and then you go, that was a good idea. Is that what happens? One is enough, the Kiwi lads. Says a Blues Nate. One Kiwi is enough. Says a Blues Nate there. I've made some hot chocolate, and chocolate milk is pretty good. Don't forget the cream Ruth. Oxtail and boil up makes it a nice and fatty with pork trotters. There's Matthew in there as well. Second half for this contest. Very close to taking place. Then it will be Reds versus Brumbies. Now, we aren't actually going to be covering that one on the channel. 37 points to 8 for the Landers, says James, for the full-time prediction. So you're giving them another... What would that be? That would be 3 tries? 2 tries. 3 tries, 1 converted, 1 penalty. I assume that is James, or are you going 4 tries, all not converted? I start crying. I think to myself, totally worth it, says Sebastian. I think you're, as the kids would say, you are built different, Sebastian. It's like, surely that at some stage you regret the decision, but like you're like, yeah, it's good. I enjoy it. Fijian Drua coach, better give a pep talk. Drua need a boost of recharge, says Ruth. Yeah, they do need the first try of the second half, the Fijian Drua. If they are unable to do that, they will more than likely be unable to come back to win this game. It is halftime in the Super Rugby Aupiki final at the moment. We'll go like this. We'll go like that as well. There we go. 2 tries, 2 penalties. Oh, so you're saying they're going to take the 3s? I would recommend, of course, this is purely your prediction, and I shouldn't play a part in it, but I would recommend swapping those 2 penalties out for another try. Just because I don't see them wanting to take 3s too often, unless the Fijian Drua were getting back into the game, in which case they'd have a few more than 8. I'm mental, but what good is it to be normal in such a mad world? Drama increases, says Sebastian. And with Sebastian, the spicier the better. See, I'm a sweet chili's about as far as I go, but I actually am more impressed with people who can have spicier food, because I'm like, how do you do that? Like, as soon as I can't feel my tongue, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm eating anymore. So then I lose the excitement. Because like, it's like when you burn your tongue when you're having something and it's way too hot for a start, so you eat it, you burn your tongue, and then you don't taste the rest of it. And I get sad because you don't get the food taste. Right, both sides make their way back out onto the field now. The zoo, quite a few people there. I think I recognize one of those people in the zoo. I'm going to have a quick look again. Yeah, I think they're from my town, I believe. There we go. Small bit of information. That means absolutely nothing. Tosses Rua, says Daniel. Territory at the moment, 65% in favour of the Highlanders. 12 missed tackles from the Drua, 11 missed tackles from the Highlander. No, you get the food sweats, says Fleshin. Glenn Jackson, they are just asking him a few questions about what the plan will be for the second half. How to get back into this game. 4 penalties against the Highlanders compared to the 3 of the Fijian Drua. So that is one thing that both sides have done quite well, is their discipline throughout this matchup. Okay, Glenn Jackson's pretty much said, we're going to go out there, we're going to play fast-paced rugby. We're not going to change the plan. We're going to try and just get that ball in hand, be a bit more clinical. For the Highlanders, they have made no changes to their starting 15. And with the exact same again. For the Fijian Drua, I believe they have just made that 1 change. In fact, no, sorry, 2 changes. Muntz is off for Rabitu, and also Penny Ravai has made his way on for Hiarete Hitit. And also Stoddard has passed his HIA, so he is back out there on the field for the Highlanders. as well. I think Timothy Tavatavanawa, I love seeing himself on the big screen. Every time they show him, he just smiles. Happy to be there. Nicely taken by Cam Miller, just outside of the 22, and already the counter ruck coming from the Fijian Drua. Ball is still there for Falau Fakatava, though. He kicked high from Fakatava, and that's another great low tackle, but beautiful offload, pure pace from Rabitu down the wing, cuts back inwards, they just don't stop him, and he scores the early try 30 seconds in. They were just about to talk to Jamie Joseph. They had him on the line, and they said, hey, we're going to ask you what your plan is for the second half. It certainly wouldn't have been conceded within 40 seconds of the half starting. Izakele Rabitu, pure speed from that man. And Tezan's not dribbling into your bowl, eating them, and dribbling them back into an endless cycle of pure, lovely misery. Okay, that is a bit messed up, Seb, I'll be honest, but each to their own. I imagine you're doing it with a big smile on your face, in between the sniffing, probably. Rambitu score the try Fakatava. He was swearing as he was trying to drag him down. He was like, this boy's just not stopping any sort of momentum. Now, as Armstrong Ravula, the perfect start to the second half. So whatever Glenn Jackson said at halftime must have worked. Now, will we still get to hear from Jamie Joseph? As away to the left-hand side. And now 17 points to 8. Okay, now they're heading to Jamie Joseph. Let's go, hot chocolate for the draw. Nice try, says NZ Riot. Okay, Jamie Joseph said, obviously not the start to the second half that we wanted, but still pretty collected in the coaching box. Very stoic. A kick downfield from the Fijian Drua. Into touch, probably about 41 metres out from their own line here, but the Highlanders will look to strike back with that missed kick. Does mean that the draw are not within 7 as of yet. It also did cancel out that Highlanders bonus point just for now. It's going to be stolen at the line out from the Fijian Drua, who will now look to the short side again. Rolling this one back. Lamani, or sorry, not Lamani, it was Kuravuli, wrong side. Cross again, Armstrong, Ravola puts in the little chip, poor Varwood sits up for him, and he manages to regather. Oh, a clean out there on Thomas Umunga Jensen, holding his head there. All drop ball though from the Fijian Drua. Jacob Ratamatabuki Nepkins kicks it in behind. Going to be sitting up for the Fijian Drua, just inside of their 22. Almost stolen by Jona Nariki, and the penalty does go the way of the Highlanders. Is Quade Cooper going to the Canes? Is he? If he is, oh, no, that was one of the... Didn't they put like a post up for April Fools of him in a Hurricanes kit or something? And he said all he was getting was a whole heap of messages from people asking if it was true. Is that the one we're talking about? But no, more than likely just an April Fool's prank. Although we've seen a couple of the older Australian fly halves make their way over to New Zealand, or at least at this stage, one substantial one being James O'Connor. Oh dear, Landers ball. There's Blues, Nate. But yeah, a lot of pressure coming in from the Highlanders earlier, who have once again opted to go for the line out. Fabian Holland nicely claimed, and now rolling more. This is going to be impossible to stop, and they get it down. Referee looking for it. It's held up. Wow. They're going to be checking it anyway, but Nick Berry maybe caught just a little bit out of position. They just want to make sure. I bet it would disagree, Ruth. And we have got there held up, says Blues Nate. I think it should have been a try. So if it's held up, it's actually his own fault. On-field decision is no try. Brett Cronin now going to be able to see this one from much better angles than Nick Berry has got it. Right, by the sounds of it, they're going to show an angle that shows a grounding. So we're looking for that one. I think they're saying Hugh Renton. Drua asking for obstruction there because he is grounded in front of the rolling maul and then crawling forward. Okay, check the formation of the maul. He was always at the front, and the ball is grounded, so it is going to be a try for the Highlanders now. A try is going to be awarded for Lasanga. Born in Latoka, they have just mentioned there, but 36 minutes remaining now. Woke up to the tweet room as the Glasgow Warriors are changing their pre-game ritual from Scotland the Brave to someone get me a therapist. Fans did not like that thrashing yesterday, says Ander, and it is a hard one to accept for some supporters. When you go from winning games comfortably and being URC champions, but sometimes you just got to look at it and go, we were beaten by a much better side on the day. We didn't go, and being we as in Glasgow, not like they're my team or anything, but like they didn't go with their strongest possible lineup and they got beaten badly with that as well. So, like, they have to win the URC now. I think that's the only way for them to feel like they've done the right thing. There are a lot of sides in that position, actually. The Bulls, they've kind of said we didn't want the Champions Cup, yet they found themselves playing Challenge Cup games each and every week now. But they have to win the URC because Jake White said that that was the goal. Leinster, they have to win the URC because they haven't yet and they've always been near the top. It's like about 3 or 4 size Sharks. They'll feel like they have to win the URC because they're higher than they've ever been before in the URC comp. And we have that boom, says Steven. We Quins fans, just look at our Leinster thrashing as a belated April Fools, says Sebastian. Yeah, like when you lose by that margin, you can't do much other than just go, wasn't our day. It's a tricky one. You think Glasgow will sack their coach? Will be very harsh if that happens. I think their coach is already 1 foot out the door because he was going to be approached by Wales, from what I've heard. I was talking to a Glasgow supporter a while ago, and he was saying that there's quite a bit of concern for Glasgow that if he leaves, the standard of rugby from Glasgow will go drastically downhill. So, he's already in talks of maybe signing up for that Welsh coaching gig. If that's the case, then Glasgow will need to find a new coach. So, I don't know if they'll so much as sack him, but he might be on the go anyway. Nicely taken. The right-hand side now. That's for the Fijian Drua. You either cry or have a laugh about it. I'm all out of tears for my meals. Or from my meals, says Sebastian. Yeah, you have to look at it and go, yeah, they beat us really, really badly. We got absolutely dominated. We didn't do a lot right, but it could have been worse. We could have lost by 100. Stick and run from Masaki Donge. Now back across to the right-hand side. Looks like there might be some sort of injury for a Fijian Drua player, but now beautiful ball on the inside from Osefo Masi. Goes to Kuravole, and he will go over for another Fijian Drua try. They just don't seem like they're giving up just yet. They won't want to come to us, says Fleshin. And Xander, unlikely Glasgow was at their coach. Glasgow were dismal. Like the weather today in Cape Town, says Ruth. Yeah, but that's the thing. A loss by 52 points is pretty rough, right? But then at the same time, certain teams, I believe, would rather lose by a big margin than lose a close game. The likes of La Rochelle Munster being split by 1 point and La Rochelle getting knocked out, I feel like if they had lost that one by more, maybe it would have been an easier pill to swallow, because when you win it or you lose it by so much, you kind of say, well, those little kicks that we missed, there's less guys getting the blame, if that makes sense. You get blamed as a team rather than blamed as individuals, and that's much better for your team's mentality moving into the next game. Because Glasgow, there might have been a few guys who didn't play their best game, but no one's individually calling out one guy. So that's actually better for a side than having one guy getting all the stick. Look at Marnie Libok for the Stormers. But now they have managed to get that kick over as well, the Drua. So we are back to a 9-point ball game. Did anyone get a pre-game score prediction correct with Glasgow? Nowhere near it. I think someone might have said Leinster by 20, and it seemed like they were being a little bit harsh, but they weren't. In fact, they should have said Leinster by 50. And as much as people would have laughed at the start of the game, it was actually the case. Now back across to the right-hand side. Armstrong Ravula. Oh, Jonanareki tries to chip in behind. That's going to be another knock on. Kuravuli goes on the outside to Celestino Ravotamanda. Kivrata Matabuki Nepkins claims it on the short side, goes for a chip in behind of his own. Steep bounce. Armstrong Ravola well controlled. Gets it across now to Poniapati Logan Amasi. He goes for the chip of his own. Looks like he might have been half by taken out by Sesefu Kautai, but it will be play on with the Highlanders in position again. Charlotte Caslick lost the women's Super Rugby final. She needs a shoulder to cry on. Sebastian. Now, Falau Fakatava. Back into the pocket to Cam Miller. He will kick it high. 40 metres out from their line now. The Fijian Drua, another tackle from Haig. Other team's not quite over yet. Yeah. If the Fijian Drua are the next team to score, they once again just make it an awkward one for the Highlanders, because the Highlanders have had a lot of games recently, and, you know, it sounds harsh, but they've had a lot of matches that they should have won that they've kind of let slip. You know, their game up against the Force, losing by 9 points, not even getting the bonus point there. Their game up against the Brumbies, losing by 7, luckily still getting the bonus point. Their game up against the Reds, lost by 6, getting the bonus point. Their game up against the Hurricanes, losing by 2. Like, the list does go on for them. They beat Moana Pacifica by 2. They beat the Blues by 8 early on, and they lost to the Waratahs by 1. So the amount of bonus points they have got for being within 7 but still losing is actually what's helped keep them in the game. Because they haven't won that many games this season, but from what the games are that they've lost, they've still managed to secure some form of points. They're a victim in 3 weeks now. Fans are seeking therapy for Leinster thrashing someone called the Bulls. Says Blues Nate. Now going off to the short side, Cam Miller hit hard and driven backwards. It looked like he almost lost that ball. The Fijian Drua managed to get the clean steal to Mofi Tavanawai. What's his footing in the breakdown? It's a very competitive match at the moment, back and forth. Now quick hands, Fijian Drua now with Poniapati Logan Amasi puts in the grubber, ball sits up for him, and the Drua get another one. Just as we've mentioned about the Highlanders having moments where they have let it slip, we see another try for the Fijian Drua. Poniapati Logan Amasi, his 5th try of the season. And Munster will knock out Bordeaux today. Then they're coming for Leinster. If they do, though, I have to say, if Munster make it all the way to the final, knocking out Bordeaux, La Rochelle, and either Toulon or Toulouse, if they went on to lose the final to Leinster, I would actually be more disappointed than if they got knocked out early. And I know that that sounds bad, but like, if they're going to go through all that effort to get to the final, they have to win. Because like, it would be one of the best runs to the final we have seen from any side in a long time. But then to not win, people often forget about it. But now chance again for Zaya Armstrong Ravula. That's the way draw, it says Chris and Jenny. And now he has just missed the way to the side, so the score will remain with 4 points between the two sides. Poniapati Lugnamasi just showing off his pace. Philemoni tried to half by block, but then there was so much space in behind. Ratamata Buki Nepkins, I think, got caught a little bit off his wing. Now 27 minutes remaining. Very funny though, especially when drunk or high, says Duncan. And come on the draw, says NRL fan. And there as well, looks like Seula Ma'u has made his way on. Now back underway. Chasing after this one is Ollie Haig. Oh, missed catch there from the Fijian Drua. Oh, great hands from Simeone Kuravuli, and it's opened up another attacking chance here. Oh, but it's a knock on, or in fact, sorry, forward pass and a knock on. Right, the risky pass, but it does not end up working out. It just ends up slipping through the fingertips, nicely claimed. And then, yeah, Kuravuli just going across. And then Ravaye, he did pass that one about a metre or so forward. Gets a big high five from his teammate for his effort. We'll look at the odds. as they currently sit. Where are we? There we go. So at the moment, in this match, ladies and gentlemen, the Highlanders are $1.22 favourites, Fijian Drua $3.80 underdogs. And by quarters, the Highlanders have scored the 11th most points out of anyone for the last quarter. That will be a free kick to the Fijian Drua. Now they will be able to kick it downfield again. But a volley. Looks like they will just go for the quick tap now. Saki Donge. Shot coming on him by Seulamo and come on the draw. We're still in it, lads. Says Blues Nate. Just got booted out of bed to make them misses a cuppa. Says Fleshin. That must mean, Fleshin, that you're quite good at making a cup of tea. Because I would assume if you were terrible at making cups of tea, she wouldn't make you do it. So you must be a decent man when it comes to whipping up a hot beverage. Saki Donge. I'm back across to the side. Nice run forward from Ravatamunda, and again open space. That is sensational work from Fabian Holland, the big man, putting in some huge strides to get back to cover. Now another run forward from Mizolami Dolakoto. Oh. They have milked the penalty. The boss has spoken. Fletcher and Fiji going to win. I can feel it. There's NRL fan. Apparently I am, but I can't stand the stuff. That's a good idea. Make a cup of tea so vile should never ask you again. Yeah, salt instead of sugar, I've heard, does the trick. Probably doesn't just get you kicked out of making tea, though. Probably gets you kicked out of the house, too. And chili sauce on pizza with bacon and avocado. Says Ruth. Celestino Ravotamunda. It's really good pace shown by Fabian Holland. Fair share of pace from him as well. In a touch now, 15 metres out from the line. This is closer than I thought, says NZ Rider, or NZ Rider, I should say. Drua hunting their first road win in 20 matches, the first ever win versus the Highlanders. So it's been 20 games in a row that the Fijian Drua have won or lost away from home, which is, that's quite the record. When you consider that away games, let's say they're playing only half of their games away from home each season. So that's probably 8 games, theoretically. It's probably been over 2 years since the last Fijian Drua away victory. Fiji 12 jogging ahead, 13 ball carrier in support. Says Anoi. Now, Kuravoli. I'm back across to the right-hand side here for the Drua. 23 minutes left to play on the clock, and they are looking for another try that would then give them the lead in this matchup. Now another step from Valive Miramira. Recently made his way onto the field. Now Silla getting just a little bit closer. Mothi Tava Nawa, he was looking for it. Plus, I'm having coffee, actually watching the game now with the cat. Says Fleshin. Now, one plus of carrying on your food is you don't have to add extra salt. Love the way you look at the positive, Sebastian, in that scenario. You know, 10 metres out from the line now for the Drua. Kuravoli going back across. The Highlanders have to be careful not to end up giving away a penalty advantage here. Wide cut out pass goes straight into the hands of Jacob Ratamatavuki Nepkins, who kicks it away straight away, and he's got a lot of height on that one. Jonah Nariki getting back, but Isaiah Armstrong Ravula is there to be able to claim it, and then straight on the ball for Lau Pakatava, the clean interception. Now off to the left-hand side, Jack Taylor goes on the outside to Daniel Leonard Brown. It's all the forwards linking up, and now Tenuelu Talia, the replacement. Oh, is that deliberate? Or is it just a knock on Hugh Renter? That was a tackle off the ball from the Drua. I think either way, something's going to be happening here. It might be at best just a penalty against the Drua. Oh no, it's going to be a yellow card. Nick Berry awarding it there, playing it, and not getting two hands to it. So it is a deliberate knockdown against Simeone Kuravoli. And just like that, that's probably the Drua done in this contest now. It sounds harsh, but how many times before have we seen the Drua be close in a matchup, go down a man, and then concede 2 tries in that time to take them completely out of a contest? The Highlanders, they will be kicking this one towards the corner. They'll feel now they can go for the jugular and get that all-important another try. 10 minutes of playing without 15 on the field here. Looks like someone's put a bit of polystyrene or something on the field. This is my first free hot conversation, says Sebastian. Now 5 meters out from the line. Another rolling maul. Jack Taylor has got the possession. They're asking for a little bit of extra ground to be made by the Highlanders. Drua defending it well. Where is the ball? Oh, breaking around the short side. Jack Taylor, I think the Drua were defending a rolling maul that didn't even have a ball in it. Why isn't Tony Brown playing? Is he injured? Says Jazz C. That'll be it. I think just the small injury for Tony Brown means that doesn't take to the field. Just a line-out drive again is effective for the Highlanders. And like I said, the yellow card is the kryptonite of the Drua. It's happened so many times, and it will happen again. And more than likely, they will still concede another one, another Taylor for the ABs. Here's Blues, Nate. Like I've said, the flow of the game recently has been all Drua. And now the Highlanders themselves that 9-point lead. Still a kick to come as well. Have a look now at what that does to the odds. And the verdict is Fijian Drua now $10 underdogs, just like that. Cam Miller does just miss the kick away to the side. So 29-20. Way that it sits. Tosso Drua says nasal. Great try for Jack Taylor. And Flesh and Tatum says Ruth. Zoo enjoying that one as well. Plenty of support for the Highlanders team here. 19 minutes still left in this matchup. Now, kickoff for the Fijian Drua. The Landers, any chance of this final spot? If they win this game, they've still got a chance. Just because of the competitiveness of who still has to play who, but they've got a few massive games left, the Highlanders, so they will have to make sure that they win a few of their New Zealand derbies to make it there. Yeah, the competition's getting extremely close. Definitely if, like I said, if the Highlanders win this game, the Drua would be bottom of the table and they would more than likely have no way of getting back in. Palau Pakatava kicks it towards the sideline. It will now be a Fijian Drua throw. It do reminds me of Jimmy Cowan, young Jim. Says a Blues, Nate. What do the chances of the Highlanders bonus point look like now? Well, currently, I believe they would need one more try for them to be able to receive the bonus point here. Or is it 2 tries? The Drua had the 5 points early. And they took a 3 early, didn't they? Oh, that ball's going to be a hard one to get out, but it is available now for Rabitu, who's a fill-in halfback. Jimmy reminds me of Scott Cowan. Says Jazz C. Good low tackle made on the replacement tight head prop. I'll to use it again. Now Rabitu going to do a box kick. Well, it was a modified box kick. It was a box kick of a fly half. Jaco Ratamatabuki Nepkins tackled on the halfway line here for the Highlanders. Pakatava looking off to the right, finds Fabian Holland. Ball to Taylor. And beautiful Drua. Says Ruth. Now back into the pocket, Cam Miller. Seems like the Highlanders have gone a little bit more defensive here with their mindset, just trying to force the Drua backwards and hope that they make a mistake. But Pone Pate Logana Masi has not done that. Instead, he's had a sensational run off Lau Pakatara. Will be the knock-on. Thanakai Vata, though. Play on just for now. So Nariki again is a little bit slower getting back up to his feet. The Drua have got that knock-on advantage. Still playing with the 14, but at the moment it looks like the Highlanders might also only have 14 players as Nariki is very slow, finding his wits about him. Shot from Highlanders on Penny Ravai. This will go down to the wire. Says James. Yeah, the Highlanders definitely do not want to concede soon, or else they will be in a little bit of trouble. Armstrong Ravola, the ground forward. Tenuelu Talia tackles Tanakai Vata. Counter ruck there from the Highlanders, but they give away the penalty. Breakdown becomes a mess, says Nick Berry. Still 4 minutes, 20 remaining of that yellow card. Tanakai Vata not looking too happy about it. Jona Nariki also not looking too flash there in terms of injury-wise, so I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to take him from the field and end up bringing on Sam Gilbert. It looks like Will Stoddard is also going to make his way off the field for the Highlanders, so they've decided to give the full shift to Fabian Holland. Ball does go into touch, about 22 metres out from the line now. 15 minutes remaining. Change again. I believe it is the Highlanders 19. Yes, it is. Ty Cribb makes his way on. He did get a little tiny stint earlier on, albeit a women's game. This final was great. There's Kiwi Raw. That one's going to be slapped away by the Highlanders, who managed to get their ball back. Cam Miller, bit of a rough pass to Falau Pakatava. And he puts it over the top. Nice backline. Philemoni, beautiful pass technique there to get it out to Jakarata Matabuki. Nepkins going for the ball was a Sefel Masi, but he ended up getting the player instead. Draw a run. Quick passing flowing, says Roof, and the Drua seem to desperately want to win this, says NZ Riot. Kicked high again from Laufakatava. That one goes into touch. And says Roof, and the Drua, says Joseph. I think by 9 points at the moment. The line out throw for replacements are Real Tongia Tama. The Reds win versus Brumbies, then 6th spot is anyone's, says Annoy. Yeah, and then if the Brumbies beat the Reds, that kind of makes it a little bit harder for these lower sides to be able to catch up. But it also, in a way, you could say, makes it, that top kind of 5 more open because sides will be that little bit closer. Yeah, it's a tricky one. And I feel like for the Aussie side's sake, I think that the Brumbies winning does benefit the other Aussie sides. Definitely the Brumbies, but the Reds are at home at Suncorp, so we have to wait and see what does happen there. We are going to be doing the Challenge Cup game between the Bulls and Edinburgh. But during the last closing moments of that game, we will be letting you know exactly what was happening throughout that Super Rugby Pacific matchup. I'm going off to the left-hand side again. Ilya Thanakai tries to step. The tackle made by Timothy Tavatavanawe. We're burning Geordie Barrett's passport, by the way, says Joseph. He's been sensational for Leinster in the last few matches. Pretty unlucky not to get himself that first try, but of course there was the knock-on. But other than that, he was just getting everything right. Joining the breakdowns, Munster-Bordeaux. Be a great game tonight. We are also covering that one straight after the Challenge Cup quarterfinal between Bulls and Edinburgh. The only match that we aren't doing for Champions Cup-wise in the quarterfinals is Castra versus Northampton. Now back to the left-hand side again. Bit of a step going in from Osifo Masi. To 12 phases in a row, which is working well for the Fijian Drua as it does use up extra time from that yellow card. Armstrong Ravola goes across to Ilya Thanakai Vata again. Off to the left, Armstrong Ravola tries to skip past this time. Osifo Masi driven towards the sideline. Referee Nick Berry said, use that please. He only just got to the breakdown for Rabitu, so I feel like maybe a bit harsh for that man. He had to cover quite a bit of ground to get there. Celestino Ravatamanda, tackled by Tenuelu Talia. Up to 17 phases in a row now. If the goal for the Fijian Drua was to use up the time left on the yellow card, they have done that perfectly. Now Mira puts the kick in behind. Oh, little bit of a juggle from Jacob Ratamaita. Vuki Nepkins goes back to Cam Miller in the pocket. He will kick it into touch. Not a huge amount of distance made, though, 3 seconds remaining of the yellow card. I believe he will now be back. And the Drua, after the 10 minutes, yes, they conceded 1 try, but they're not completely out of it in terms of position on the field. How do you watch the Champions Cup in URC in New Zealand? So Champions Cup, I watch on Sky Sport now, or any Sky Sport option. Challenge Cup is not on, so what I have to do is get a VPN, set myself to Australia, and buy a match ticket or like a match pass for, I think it's anywhere between 15 and 25 New Zealand dollars for the match to be able to cover just the one game. So that's what we're doing for that Bulls versus Edinburgh match. And then alongside that, the URC, some of the games are on TV NZ when they do involve South African sides or the big Irish derbies. Now, outside of that, they don't actually show those other games taking place in the URC. So it does make it quite difficult to be able to follow multiple games, which means that you have to go with URC Pass or URC TV, I believe it is the name of it. The only way Geordie doesn't get himself a Champions Cup winning medal is if he gets injured, says Fleshen. Yeah, I thought he was going to stay down after getting the injury near the end of the last match. Now going off to the left-hand side again, Armstrong Ravola. Just brilliant face play at the moment from the Fijian Drua, trying to wear down the Highlanders. And Landers lose tonight. They go to the bottom. Little kick attempted in behind. Chance here for Ponepati. Loganamasi just slips over. I was about to sneeze. I was trying to hide away to the side. Cam Miller kicks that one downfield. One more. I'll quickly sneeze. Ball has not gone out though. So now Celestino Ravatamanda 40 metres out from the line. Another opportunity for the Drua to create an attacking chance. Drua have to move it. Says Ruth. Now go on with the wide cut out past Apone. Pati Loganamasi gets through. Tries to step. Can't quite link up with his teammates. Ilya Thanakai Vata though. Tackled low by Fakatava. Is this going to be like a few of the other games we have seen for the Highlanders? How they let it slip at the worst possible time. Joe Tamani tackled by Timothy Tavatanawai. I don't like the Sky Sport Now app. Says Andrew Taylor. Can be a little bit confusing in terms of where to find what you actually want. That's the thing. I spent quite a wee while looking at the Challenge Cup games and trying to work out where I could find them. But, yeah, there weren't too many options in that regard. Now going back across to the right-hand side. A nice bit of work here for Celestino. Ravotamanda gets the offload away to Tamani, who's trying to bulldoze his way over the top of Jakarata Maitavuki Nepkins. Still there for the Drua. Soana Silasila. 5 metres out. Someone staying down, diving on that ball was Fabian Old. He's got the turnover. Was an extremely crucial one. Now the Highlanders trying to run it out from their 22. In fact, Tanuelu Talia decides to kick it downfield. The man who was getting a bit of medical attention, Rabitu, is now going to have to try and run it. He goes tip in behind. Awkward bouncing ball, well cleaned up by Cam Miller, who now offloads it back to Tanuelu Talia. Ollie Haig back up for Tabua Val, but there was no clear release, so there will be the advantage in favour of... Jack Taylor drops it. They will go right back for the original advantage. That is going to be for no clear release of the breakdown from Tabor. Now, it wouldn't have actually been a penalty, I don't believe, if the player for the Fijian Drua, Tabor Val, hadn't looked at the ref and shouted at him, saying, "I've got that one." I think all that did was annoy Nick Berry, and he said, "Okay, we'll give it away then." Advantage over when he kicked it out. Says Blues Nate, yeah, it was quite far up the field that they did have a chance of being able to score. But Jack Taylor, just because of that knock on, they do go right back. Landers are going to take the 3, says Tane. It is not an easy kick, though. About 55 metres out on the angle, I would say. Now, the benefit that they've got is there is no wind, I should say. Was it 40 metres out? That seems a little bit too far up the field here from where the penalty actually was awarded, I thought. Have a quick look at this, see whereabouts it actually was. Going to see the replay, and how good was that Tars try? Yeah, brilliant full field try for the Waratahs, was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I'm not sure what they've done here, but that penalty was awarded inside of the Highlanders' half, sitting about 53 metres out from the draw line, yet they were allowed to take it 40 metres out from the draw line. But the penalty that they awarded was the one that was initially there. So I'm not sure what's happened there, but they've got an extra territory gain for the Highlanders. They will try and make the absolute most of it. They've got themselves another penalty advantage. I had a person at my high school named Jack Taylor. He was here, boy. Not a good week for the Canes and the Chiefs. Says Tame. You might want to use that because you've got the penalty advantage, says Nick Berry. Now, is he just helping the Highlanders or is he trying to referee this game? Now, nice pass off to Tenuelu. To Leo's going to be just short, although he might have just about rolled over. They will check this one. Only Pacific/Fiji teams, Oz and New Zealand, score tries like that. Now, what's going on at Eden Hammy, says Spider Meek. I was told earlier on to try not to give too many spoilers, but it's a fantastic game at the moment, a very close one. HIGHLANDERS Dry, says Blues Nate. Right, they're going to be checking this one from different camera angles. Just want to see whether or not Tenuelu Talia did get the grounding. He was short initially. Slides over, but does get turned. I don't know if he got that one down. Ioane Mananu. Or Moananu, I should say, sorry, AB's Boulder. I actually think he's got a decent shot. Little bit of a similar scenario to what we saw for the youngster George Bell. If you're at the Crusaders and you're a young hooker and you're showing potential, like, I think a lot of people would have him in their team now. All right, I think it's going to be held up. On-field decision. On-field decision of try. His on-field decision, wasn't it? Didn't he say, like, he's not sure? What is going on this week with the decisions we have seen made? Like, it is looking like the benefit of the doubt. Try grounding-wise was an interesting one. But, yeah, I thought Nick Berry didn't actually say he thought it was a try. This is why he was going up to the TMO. Moananu played better than a Suffolk more last night because, man, were those Canes lineouts bad? Yeah, and that's something that will definitely hurt a Suffolk more in the future. Have a look at Henry Arundel's try for London Irish in Europe when he was 18. This ref been smoking at half-time, says Matthew, but that kick will go over. 5 minutes remaining. And now the Zoo are celebrating. They should win it from here. And let's go to the draw, says Ruth. And there as well. But, yeah, good attack and run from Tenuelu to Lear. And, yeah, benefit of the doubt. They go to the man on attack. Kicked off. Will not travel the 10 metres, but the Highlanders play at it. So it is play on now with Sam Gilbert. Yes, Arundel scores a great try. Wasn't it more of a solo try like Martin Ophir used to do? You are back in the Lions series. I hope that Australia at least win one game just to make it competitive. The talk for the last few years, up until recently, has been that Australia won't put on a good showing in that Lions tour. So if they can win one game, that would, I guess, prove a lot of people wrong. Back across to the right-hand side. They've already got the bonus point at the moment in play for the Highlanders. The draw would need one more try to be able to take it back. Is that a try? The benefit of the doubt went to the attacker. The on-field decision got called as try from Nick Berry. I'm not sure whether he ever said that it was, though. But, that's a good shot from Lasanga. We could hear that one. 3.5 minutes remain. I reckon Australia will take the series, says Jazz C. And also now an advantage in favour of the Fijian Drua, Celestino Ravotamanda. Stepping again. And they'll go back now for the penalty in favour of the Drua. 3 minutes left on the clock now. If the Drua can score again, they will cancel out the Highlanders bonus point. But the way that the table sits, they do need this bonus point. That's what the way that the table is. The Highlanders are on 12. A win here would put them up to 16 points, ahead of the Blues, but not ahead of the Hurricanes. But a bonus point would put them up to 7th, ahead of the Canes and the Blues. And then after that, of course, it is Moana Pacifica and the Drua. The crazy thing is, Moana Pacifica could find themselves in the bottom two at the end of this round, which would be quite surprising with how well they have played at times. Tavatamanawa to make the ABs. There's Scrotimus. Now ready to put this ball in, and it's nicely claimed by the Fijian Drua again. Yeah, that importance of the bonus point cannot be denied. Respect to the draw regardless. They actually put up a fight, unlike some northern sides. See Sebastian now off to the left. And just inside of the Highlanders territory. Big shot again coming in on the replacements. And when they get 5 points as it stands now, the Landers, that is correct. Sorry, yeah. If the Druas score once more, though, they get 4. I think I said that round the wrong way at the time, but I was meaning if the Drua cancel out one of their tries, they will go back to the 4 points and be slightly lower on the table. Slow getting back to his feet is Cam Miller. He's already had his fair share of concussions, unfortunately, the youngster, which is not what you want to see, but he is once again having a bit of a problem with that nose. Now going off to the right-hand side, Samuel trying to go through. 90 seconds remaining. Tamani, low tackle on him. Fabian Holland looking for the turnover. Timothy Tavanawa gets in there, and the Highlanders have got the ball back again. They're trying to increase that points differential. Tenuelu Talia kicking it in behind. 2 men getting back. But well handled by the Ruan Rabitu. Just runs it up the middle. Keeps the ball on the side of the draw again. It took a while. But the home team have won. Says NZ Riot. Have to let that Leinster game go sometime, brother. Says Fleshin. Depends on how Munster go, I think, Fleshin. If Munster win, I think he'll be back to his happy ways of having super hot beverages and I guess dishes. Now 40 seconds remaining. 40 minutes will be a bit rough on these two sides, definitely with the pace that they have already played. Jonanareki trying to get in there. Ball is still there, and the penalty does go the way of the Fijian Drua for not rolling away. Tui Pelotu or Papali'i, who's the better captain? I would go Tui Pelotu. I've been noticing a few things about Papali'i recently that I think don't make him the best quality for or best player for captaincy. But yeah, I won't go too deep into it. But yeah, there's just a few bits and bobs that he's doing out there on the field at the moment that doesn't represent what you'd want as your captain. If that makes sense. Now going to be thrown in or nicely stolen by the Highlanders. It looks like they want to try and run this one. I don't know whether or not they realise they have the bonus point already. Unless they want to continue and try and get that points differential up. But if they concede now, they would lose their bonus point. I don't know whether they know that. Cam Miller passes it across to Sam Gilbert. They're going to try and give the crowd one last try to cheer about Jacob Ratumaitavuki. Nepkins inside ball to Gilbert. They will score it, so it doesn't cost them. And in fact, it will give them the extra 7 for this match. But man, that could have been a risk. We don't talk about his strange liking of Munster. I heard a rumour that some of you guys don't quite approve of his team choices. But great last try of the match for Sam Gilbert. 41 points to 20. Kick to come will make it 43. In fact, no, sorry, 41 is after the kick has gone over. So they are separated by 21 points. The Highlanders move up the table. They go ahead of the Blues, but not ahead of the Canes. Oh, no, sorry, they are actually ahead of the Canes as well now because of that extra point. A bit of a reshuffle taking place between the Kiwi sides, but nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Our next live stream will be taking place in about 2 hours, 25 minutes, and that will be the one happening between the Bulls and Edinburgh. I'm going to be covering that one. And also, because we've got a bit of a build-up to the match, we'll be able to let you know about the Reds-Brumbies result in that one as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. In score, 41 points to 20. The Highlanders pick up a win, and the draw away dwindle does continue. 21 games in a row now they have lost away from home. But thank you all very much for being here, and I will see you all for the next one.